supporters of Jeff and Kevin are here tonight. Most of us here in Annapolis know Jeff and Kevin and their compadres. You see, every Monday night for the last probably 3 years, they've been right out here on College Avenue peacefully protesting, mostly about the Second Amendment, but also about liberty and the Constitution as well. Bipartisan, we all like them. They're very peaceful and respectful of all of us that are here. What's unusual is just a week ago tonight, Jeff and Kevin were arrested. Arrested for doing nothing different than they've done for the last 3 years. So we invited them here tonight so they could tell their story to you, so that they'd be able to share with the public what happened to them. And we were sure they'd come back. We were sure that their supporters would not be deterred by last Monday night's events. And we want you all to know that what happened should never have happened. Annapolis is a place for peaceful protest. People of all political views and ideas are welcome here to protest, hold signs, and express their constitutional First Amendment rights. So with that, I'm going to introduce Jeff and Kevin to you, and they'll tell you their story.
Thank you, Delegate Shalega. Thank you very much, and thank you to Nick Kipke, who is also hosting this afternoon. Before I start, I'd like to thank our criminal attorney, Eric Schaefer, who has been advising us to right through the process of seeing 6 charges against us dropped by the prosecutor. But we're not done yet, because when they just drop charges, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean everything is done. I'd also like to acknowledge one of my heroes is with me tonight. I get a little emotional about this. His name is Dick Heller. I'd like to have Dick Heller raise. Where are you, Dick? Come on. My brother and I were standing in the shadow and in the footsteps of Dick Heller. In 2008, Dick Heller won at the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, the landmark decision that gives all of us the right to have a handgun in our homes and to have it for self-defense and other lawful purposes. Before then, hundreds of years, we've been waiting for the Supreme Court to make this decision. There was a man named Dick Heller who brought it to the Supreme Court. He won the decision on behalf of all of us. It is such an honor to have him standing with a Patriot picket here today. It is an emotional thing for me. Last Monday night, it was a shock to be arrested. For just another night, I was doing what we had done for so many other nights on the public sidewalk. We were approached and we were told we were going to be put under arrest. I was arrested first. My brother Kevin was arrested right after me. It was a shock because 50 years ago, people were being arrested for the civil rights demonstrations. They had police dogs and fire hoses set upon them simply because they were out on a public sidewalk asking that their civil rights be observed. The shock for me is that more than 50 years later, someone like me is put in handcuffs for the exact same thing that happened in Selma, Alabama. The lesson for us tonight and for going forward is that civil rights has to be, you have to exercise it and you have to care for it. And it's amazing that in 2018, someone like me would be cuffed to a metal bench in a police station for standing up to advocate, just for advocating for civil rights. It just means that we have to be ever watchful, ever mindful going forward. And I want to thank the Patriot Pickets. We had a number of Patriot Pickets with Kevin and I the night we were arrested. We're very grateful to them. We're very grateful to our group as a whole, because everybody is committed to the upkeep of civil rights, to speaking out for not just the First Amendment, but the Second Amendment, for all the amendments. We're the Bill of Rights guys, and we're very grateful to have had that opportunity. It's a pleasure now to invite my brother to speak.
Thank you, Delegate Szeliga, Delegate Kipke. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. In 1776, our founding fathers knew that only an informed and active citizenry could preserve the ideals of the American Revolution. In the constitutions of the United States and of Maryland, they put their trust in the wisdom of the people to guide and watch over government. Today, a great and unique heritage is being kept alive all across the country by the citizens who take an active interest in their government. Now, those are not my words. These words were written and published on the back of this government pamphlet by the state of Maryland. The signatories of that passage are Senate President Mike Miller and House Speaker Michael Bush.
Amen.
This pamphlet, Your Voice in Government, was published on January 22nd, 2018, 14 days before we were arrested. The point I'm trying to make is when these words are put down and published as platitudes, they become meaningless. The reason we were arrested is because these words have fallen out of fashion. These ideas have become unpopular in Maryland. And those of us who still revere them are treated like second-class citizens because we believe in the Second Amendment. We also believe in the First Amendment. And the thing that's most significant about this is the government was doing just what governments can do when they're left unchecked. When too much power accrues to them, they become tyrannical. So last week, when 6 police cars came roaring to the curb, the lights flashing, the sirens sounding, the officers jumped out, all fully armed. They arrested us, put our hands behind our back, cuffed us so tight our hands were falling asleep, stuffed us into police cars, took us to a place we've never been, locked us in a room, and then locked us to a steel bench. And there we remain in that position, handcuffed to that bench, for 90 minutes while the other police officers, the agent of our Maryland government, rummaged through their drawers looking for blank citation documents, scrolling through an old computer looking for charges, rummaging through old binders looking for information, and at the very end, they were scrolling through their cell phones, desperately looking for some information about how to charge us, and they ended up charging us with trespassing on a public sidewalk. If that's not an oxymoron, I don't know what is. All I have to say is to the press, when you help to disable the Second Amendment in Maryland, when you grease the skids for the restrictions that have been placed on us, you are bringing about the end of the First Amendment in Maryland. Because the people who arrested us had guns and we did not. And if you create a situation where only the government has guns, that's what's going to happen to the press. We ask the press to reconsider your attitudes, not only toward the Second Amendment in Maryland and the country, but your attitudes toward the supporters of the Second Amendment in Maryland. We support the First Amendment, and as a result, we support the press. The free press is gone after the Second Amendment is gone. Thank you.
Thank you all for attending. My name is Delegate Floyd Holden. I am a representative from Frederick County. I am definitely one that I consider myself a statesman because of my other job. I'm still an active law enforcement officer to this day. I'm the only one in the General Assembly right now. And as an active law enforcement officer, there's a need for me to immediately want to just reach out to my brothers and sisters in law enforcement and try to put myself in their position and understand that there are differing circumstances that rise and sometimes rise to the arrest of citizens. However, this arrest should never have happened. The safety issues that were cited do not make sense, There was not obstruction of free passage. The purpose of the protest is to garner attention for their issue. This is what people do all the time on state property. It is an ideal platform, folks. If drivers, one of the things that was cited was about driver safety. If driver safety were such a concern, then permits would never be issued for anyone in Lawyers Mall area. It is the responsibility of every motor vehicle operator on the roadway to maintain control of their vehicle and exercise due caution and care while driving their vehicle. Because someone is standing, exercising their First Amendment right along the sidewalk does not prohibit people from operating their vehicle safely. While I support the Second Amendment, this issue for me is not even a Second Amendment issue. The bottom line is the First Amendment, our rights are protected for all citizens, no matter what the issue is or the side of the issue that you advocate. At the very least, there needs to be established a clearer policy regarding the acceptable locations and expectations for those who wish to demonstrate on Capitol grounds. Clearer guidelines would help eliminate this in future instances. I hope to see this encounter used as a training opportunity for the Capitol Police to enhance communication strategies with those who demonstrate around this complex to allow that free flow of information to continue and the citizens' voices to be heard so that no one is ever silenced again. Thank you.
My name is Nick Kipke. I'm the House Republican leader, and very proud with Delegate Szeliga and the entire Republican caucus to host this event tonight, to give the opportunity, first and foremost, for Jeff and Kevin to have an opportunity to share their story with the public. Many of us have come to know these men and the ladies and their team that show up not just every Monday night, but many days throughout the week to advocate for the Second Amendment. And what's interesting is, of course, we love them, and we like to see them here. But many people who don't agree with us about Second Amendment rights have really great conversations with them. And from the conversations that I've had with many people on the other side of the issue over the years, they actually have affection for these guys because of the way that they carry themselves and advocate for this issue. And so when Monday night happened, after years of seeing them advocating for Second Amendment rights in exactly the same way, it was really upsetting to everyone here who prides themselves on being earnest, constitutionally minded legislators. And so while what happened is absolutely not acceptable, we do know that the Capitol Police are going to be working aggressively. We have the assurances from everybody involved to ensure that this embarrassment never happens again. And to Kevin and Jeff specifically, I want to say on behalf of the entire people of the state of Maryland, we apologize to you and to your team for what happened. It was right, it violated your rights, and I believe I'm speaking for the entire General Assembly when I say this, but I know for sure I'm speaking for the Republican caucus. We will never sit idly by and allow something like this to ever happen again. Now, I know you probably don't hear these words enough. Now, I think we may just be speaking for us in the room and a small group on the other side of the aisle. But we want to thank you for standing out there in the cold, the rain, the ice, the snow, and standing up for all of our rights. It means so much to us, and so on behalf of all of us who believe in the Second Amendment strongly, thank you. Finally, I just want everyone to know, after what happened Monday night, many people took to whatever action they could come up with. To, one, investigate what happened as best as they could, and two, to express their dissatisfaction with everyone who was involved. And in our caucus, people regularly engaged on this throughout the entire week. You could see sincere concern from all members of our caucus. And I especially want to thank Delegate Folden, who we consulted regularly with his law enforcement background, Delegate Matt Morgan, and Delegate Shalegan, and many conversations with the Chief of Police and the Secretary of DGS. I can say with great confidence, the leaders of this General Assembly are very dissatisfied with what happened, and we're hopeful that the commitment made to training officers and improving communication to the public will be taken seriously, and we're here to hold them accountable. Thank you all very much.